I envision 3 female attorneys coming together to have our voices heard. Each of us would have different opinions, different passions, different backgrounds, and different views. Although we are different and unique, we are able to come together to discuss our experiences, navigating through the legal profession and this thing called life. Now, the vision has come alive, and we invite you each and every week to listen to us as we talk about what's trending in the news and our legal insight, tackle real-life issues that affect not only us as attorneys, but us as women of color. Disclaimer: this podcast is intended to provide entertainment and general information. The information provided and the views given are not intended to constitute legal advice and should not be relied upon as legal representation. All views expressed on this podcast are our own and do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever we are affiliated with now or will be affiliated with in the future. Hey guys, it's your girl Brandy, and welcome to another episode of No Further Questions. We hope everybody is having a great start. This is the first day of the month. It's November. It's officially, I would say, Christmas for some people because Halloween is over. And I can see Sam has changed her background to Mariah Carey. So we have a great episode for you. We're still in, quote unquote, COVID working environment. But before we get started, let me have my girls introduce themselves. Taria, tell everybody hi.
Hi. No, hi guys. Happy November. This is like the favorite time of the year, right? It's gonna get chilly outside. Put your Christmas tree up, have your turkey and dressing, and pecan pie, potato pie, cheesecake, pound cake. I'll stop.
Notice she didn't say pumpkin pie.
I did not.
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato.
Sweet potato.
Mm-hmm.
All day. All day.
Sam Phrase, are you getting snow? Why are you introducing yourself?
I'm not in snow, but guys, as Mariah Carey always says, it is time. My favorite time of the year. So, welcome. Enjoy the best time of the year, guys. Get you a little cuddle buddy, some apple cider or hot chocolate, and call it a day, guys.
Well, today's episode, we will be talking about job market in the middle of a pandemic. As you all know, this is our going on the second year of a pandemic during the holidays. But what is different is nobody's going back to work, or people are learning that they want to transition out of their jobs. So we have one of our favorite guests of the show. I want her to reintroduce herself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Shay Lee Hornsby. I am the creator and host of the Cool Careers podcast. I've spent my career in the recruiting area in various industries, but mostly in energy or energy-related fields, also in consulting, and now I recently moved to the education sector. So yeah, that's a little bit about me, but mostly all of my experience have been in that area. And along with the podcast, my platform is more of advising and helping people through the journey of all those things you just talked about, of employment, transitioning, pivoting, or all those different things that people want to label it or call it. But I'm all things careers.
Cool beans. And again, congratulations on your award. It was the Black Pod. I'm not saying it right, so just go ahead and tell our listeners real quick.
Thank you for mentioning. So my podcast was nominated, and I was the winner of the Best Black Podcast of 2021 from the Black Podcasting Awards. Well, that's their platform. I don't want to call them a committee, but so yes, it was very exciting, and I'm happy to have gotten even nominated and even have won. And I would like to kind of toot my horn on being the only female that was in the category of the top 3. So very exciting.
Well, congratulations again, and
thank you
for being on our
Too bad
show.
Taria doesn't have her celebratory fake maracas highlight it.
That's
So
how it goes.
let's dive right on in. This is a very important topic since we're coming to the end of the year, pretty much. And a lot of people are tired of one way or the other. Either they're tired of working from home or they're tired of going into the office. We're still in a pandemic. It's time for some changes. So, a lot of things. There's a lot of jobs that are opening up, but nobody is applying. Or if they're applying, they're not showing up for interviews. So let's go right in. So our opening statement is the future of work after pandemic. The pandemic revealed how much we hate our job. That's a good one. And now we have a chance to reinvent work. So, like I said, it's been 2 years. Let me pull up this article real quick. So, whoever wants to go first, let's talk about it. It's been 2 years in the pandemic. We're seeing something surprising. The housing market, it is a seller's market right now. And so what's going on? Shay, start us off. What's going on? We got the statistics, job opens, labor turnover. What are we looking at?
Well, there's a few things that happened during the pandemic, right? So we had the most vulnerable markets being really affected during the pandemic, which was your brick and mortar retail. And you also had restaurants and all the service providers as far as hospitality, hotels, all that sort of thing. And that was a big part of our, customer service type roles where you're interacting with people face to face. And so those are also heavily, I would say those roles were mostly for people in part-time positions. You had a lot of part-time workers working in retail or in restaurant. And so those really hit hard. Now, so what you have is the industry coming back and those people are not returning. So let's talk about why those people aren't returning. There's so much data around like people don't want to return because they have unemployment or because people have gotten lazy, or there's a myriad of reasons. But I have my own personal, I would say, well, there's data. So it's not necessarily just my opinion, but data tells us a lot. First, I think the US Census has it at 13 million people had second jobs as of 2013, right? 13 million people had a second job. 7% had more than 2 jobs. So basically what the pandemic did was they took everyone out of that rat race, or, they took the hamster off the wheel and allowed people to only focus on that one particular role and that one job. And when you sent the full-time people home, basically that changed everything, right? So that role that you've been saying that we can't work from home, we have to have you face to face, now is available and thriving at home. So it's like, oh, well, wait a minute. So you've been lying to us. So you got, and it's working and it's successful and it's fine. So what do you have? You have those people not spending money on gas. You're not spending your time on the commute. You're actually spending more quality time with your family. You don't have to work the second job because it's not as even as necessary, because you're not even spending as much as you were spending before, because you don't have to wear that jacket or those shoes or get oil changes or maintain your car and your tires as quickly, right? So that it's just a domino effect of so many things. The other big piece that people don't really want to talk about, and which I love to talk about because we are women, is there are so many moms in the market, right? There's data that talks about how many mothers of young children that are working in roles that are very important. And so what's happening is those moms couldn't go to work. Daycares shut completely down. So and the schools closed down. So how are the moms in any role? I don't care if you're a CEO or you work at a hotel or you work at Chick-fil-A. How are you going to go back to work if your kids are at home and they need care? So that really hurt a lot. And so those people, I would say some of those moms, sometimes because daycare or, the prices for daycare are steadily rising and we're not getting more money, right? We can't even get minimum wage passed and to get it raised, but you get all of the other facets of living and lifestyle to be on an increase. So even middle-class people are having a really hard time paying for daycare. Middle-class families. Sometimes daycare prices are more than people's mortgages or rent. So until we get affordable affordable childcare for some of these families, you'll definitely see a very slow matriculation back to work.
Baby, let me tell you something about this childcare, okay?
Please do.
Like, I don't have children, but I have friends who have children. Childcare, daycare is the biggest hustle out. Please open up a daycare because they charge you for each child, okay? And this daycare is the only place that you pay week by week, but if your child gets sick, you still have to pay.
You'll have to pay.
To hold the spot. And you pay it. Like what?
And if you have multiple children at that same place, then your price only goes down like $100. It doesn't go down like a big number. But you have to understand the liability. So y'all are attorneys, so y'all understand the liability to have your kids there is why it's so expensive. So there's insurance they have to pay. There's all, you have to pay for people to be there. And that's a high turnover industry. So in order to pay and keep people, you got to keep them happy. A lot of the child daycare centers don't even offer benefits or healthcare to their employees because they're a small business and they can't really
afford it. That's why I say it's a hustle.
It's definitely a hustle.
They're not hiring like preschool educators. They're hiring like college kids who, paying them pennies. And now they watching your child, but you paying $1,500 a month.
So take that same concept. If you have 2 kids and it costs you $2,500 a month to send both of your kids to school and you make $4,000 a month, right? And that's a pretty decent job, honestly. Yeah. If half of that is going out, right, and you have to go to work, right, and you're concerned about if your kids are going to get sick, why even bother, right? Why even bother? So I think there's a few things happening. There's a lot of families where they were working a second job for whatever reason. Everyone has a different situation. But I even have a friend that works a second job because she has a kid in an Ivy League school. And guess what? The pandemic she was like, I don't have to work because she's not going to live in the dorm. So her scholarship pays for this particular year. Right. She took a year off, right? So everybody has a different situation. But my thing is the pandemic allowed a lot of people to assess their quality of life and change ideas. So that's why you see so many people transitioning and pivoting and changing their minds about what's really important. So they took everyone off the hamster wheel and they're like, you know what? I think I could just create an Etsy business, right? My friend does this and she needs help with a food truck. I'll just do that because that's better than going back to work, being stressed out and not dealing with all the things they dealt with before.
Yeah, what I found funny is that right before the pandemic at my old job, my boss, she was older and she just believed in work hours. You have to be in at this time. You need to stay till this time. And it was just such an outdated way of thinking. It was very brick and mortar, right? Mindset. But you have to understand it's a generational thing. You know, like my mom, she's a principal. She's that way. You don't take off work. You take off work when you retire. You know, even now when you say working from home, I'll call my mom and she'll be like, so you off? No, I'm not off. I'm working from home. But we had begged, some of the younger associates had begged at the time to be able to have a couple of days work from home. So we tried it and she was like, I just don't like it. I can't get in contact with y'all. I like to pop in and see what you're working on. And, you know, I just don't like that, you know, if I have to ask you a question, I have to wait for you to call me back. Long story short, pandemic happened shortly thereafter, and she had to like adjust. And we never went back. I don't know if they went back now, but we never really went back. I think we shifted to at least 3 days a week in the office. But it just became apparent to so many people, even though I do know some other attorneys who made their staff come in every day during the pandemic once the thing was lifted. And I'm like, but why? But why? I mean, I feel like, I don't know about y'all, because I feel like everybody on here is work from home now. I got more work done.
I'm not.
I think you actually work
What,
more.
Victoria? I'm sorry.
I'm not. Shay mentioned that we all got off the hamster wheel. No, we didn't. Some people got off the hamster wheel. Everybody did not.
No, the people who got off the hamster wheel are the people who got laid off. That's what I mean.
No, yeah, but there's a lot of us that are still.
On that same.
I have my show that I want before the year is out, because I want to show for the people who did not lose their job, who are just 2 years in with no vacation, and they worked the whole entire 2 years because they're still in the hamster wheel. And I am at a firm where remote work is not what we're doing. We are going into the firm. It's like a sneaking run to take just one day off. And so there's a lot of people that are still doing that. And I applaud the people that are able to stay at home and work remotely, but they're not just blue collar workers that are sitting going into work every day. That's all I'm going to say, because there's a ton of professionals that are still
people too. Yeah. I would definitely say that, you know, I would definitely say, I don't know that much about the legal, you know, field or law firms and that sort of thing, but it only takes 1 or 2 law firms to start being more flexible, and the rest of everyone else will have to do the same thing. It only takes a little bit. And this is no offense to your firm, Taria, at all, but I'm saying everyone that's still in the mindset of old school or pre-pandemic lifestyle or working and work-and-life balance, it's just, they're in for a rude awakening. They really are. Just because everyone's going to have to start transitioning, because there's not enough people on the market for them to sustain the type of rules and regulations on the traditional workday. Is of no longer.
Well,
and
let me just say this with the legal field. I agree with you that it's going to change, because it's going to have to, Taria, because look how Texas is getting all these Cali people, right? And more people are taking the UB universal bar exam, where you can waive into other states and practice in other areas. The practice of law is becoming a lot easier to change states and jurisdictions. And with that, what I foresee is that you're going to have more attorneys who are going to be barred in multiple states, and they're going to want to move around, and they can practice in all the states that they're barred in, you know. Mm-hmm. I will say also that going from Texas litigation in bar compared to Utah, completely different temperament as far as attorneys. Like when I was at home, everybody's working. They're getting to the office at like 8:30, working till 6, 7 o'clock. I left my office today. Most people are out by 5:30 because family is like really big here in Utah. And they, you know, like my boss, I told him, you know, hey, I'll look over it over the weekend. He was like, go and enjoy your weekend. I worked in Texas at every like almost every weekend. Now we do have work remote and we do have billable hours, and you are required to issue they track your hours, you have a billing summary, but I think that it's less focused on like, they hire you to do a job, they expect for you to do your job, and however you do that job is on you, so to speak. So I have seen the difference in Texas, which is heavily aggressive and very litigious, versus another jurisdiction, which I'm not going to say that they're less litigious, but I'm saying the way in which the culture in the law firms are a lot different to me.
Yeah, there's going to have to be some flexibility for sure. You'll start seeing it. It's definitely going to happen, and it will start transitioning into most of the sectors. Most employers don't really have a choice. I know we're only speaking kind of, Houston or Texas at this particular point, but I was in energy for forever, and energy is very, very traditional, no different from, I would say the legal field, and they wanted you to be there all the time, every day. And a big deal, it was the 980, you remember that, or the every other week. That was like a big deal to have. And having flexibility to work from home was basically, it wasn't going to happen, but it's happening now. So you will definitely see people making shifts and trying to find ways to be more beneficial for their employees. So it's all good, Taria, for now, but I think you'll start seeing some change really soon.
I think what's going to happen with the market is that I have read that a lot of people are demanding work from home hours, and with more people demanding it because it makes it more flexible, that they're going to have no choice. As millennials start to, like millennials, especially in the legal profession, we are now becoming seasoned attorneys. And so you now can name your price. So it's not like, oh, thank you for hiring me. It's more like, I know what I bring to the table now, okay? I can generate this much money and I can do it in this amount of time, and I'm not going to be a slave to my desk anymore.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the millennials, because that's another part that's affecting the market as well. So you have the boomers that's leaving the job market. And so they're in the retirement mode, and a lot of people, they feel vulnerable because a lot of them are already, 70, right? And if they're on the younger end in their mid, early to mid 60s. So they wanted to be a little bit more safe when it came to COVID. So many of them, if possible, decided to either leave their roles or, asked to be working from home just to be safe. You can't be, flexible especially at the beginning, we were very ignorant about the pandemic and what COVID was going to do to us. So we were really, we all felt very vulnerable. And so we didn't want to take any risk or chances. So instead of continuing work, a lot of boomers are leaving. I think it's a crazy number, like 5,000 boomers a day are leaving the market just because they're taking retirement, either early or just, going ahead and just do it. It's like, it's just a good time because things are changing and shifting, and, why not? So with the boomers leaving the market, that leaves a lot of roles open. That's why that's contributing to the number of roles that are available. And we're not seeing people return to the workforce at that same rate that they're leaving. So, and there are recruiters, or I would say all sorts of data on recruitment data on recruiting, generational recruiting, like it's a thing. And really understanding what each generation will really tolerate and want and desire when it comes to an employer, because the generations behind you guys are very entrepreneurial. And
I was gonna say, they're crazy. They don't want to work at all.
Well, they have options that we didn't have. And if they want to go and skateboard for the rest of their lives, they literally can do that. If they want to go game for the rest of their lives, they'll be able to do that as well. So it's a whole new dynamic that's coming and that's ushering into the workforce. And with those changes, employers are going to have to change as well, because they're also not motivated by money. So there's, also more data where you do all sort of, questionnaires on what people really want. And money is no longer, top 3. It's more like top 5. So people want other things other than money. They want benefits. And we've lost we've lost respect and security that, I would say big companies used to give families. What the new generation gets to see is that their grandparents and their parents are working for these companies for 20, 30, 40 years. They travel, they miss football games and, memorable moments in their family. And then they get a gold watch, or a TV at the end of the 30 years, and their pensions get cut in half when it's time to go. So there's not a lot of faith in working long-term for an organization. Because they've seen it firsthand. So companies are gonna have to really do their due diligence in gaining trust from the other generations, for sure.
And why would you want to work for a company when you can be an influencer or a TikToker and make millions of dollars doing dances and having
it can be so many things. Like, I completely understand it. Now, we don't know how long that's going to be, how long that's going to last, and how long that's going to be around. But even if you take, like kind of the idea of Pinterest and Etsy, the marketplace has changed. People don't have to go to the malls anymore. Now the new market is anyone that's selling anything. Right. I mean, you can have an online boutique. You can have a traveling boutique. You can do hair. You can do makeup and be fully busy every day. So
that's a whole another show, but the makeup artists and the hairstylists are out of control. The rules, they want to work 9 to 5 as well, on Monday through Friday, and that is problematic. But that's
what you see is that what's happening is that's a generational thing. A lot of the really good people you want are in an age bracket. They're not working all day long. Remember when you used to have a hairdresser, they would get there at 6 and leave at midnight?
On Saturday.
No. They're like, I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Right.
Till 8.
No.
And I might work one Saturday a week, a month, and that's till noon. And if you get me, you get me. And if you don't, you don't. It's a different generation, guys. So,
now they're like, let's open up my books open on this day. And be right. Like, can you come? Like, you trying to get a sew in? Can you come on Wednesday at 9 a.m.? No, because I work.
But you know what though? All you need is 2 stylists who would work for professional women, and then they wouldn't need 25 rules on the front of their page about payments. Yeah. You don't need 25 rules when you're dealing with professional women. We're gonna pay. But when you're dealing with the people that can come at 9 a.m. in the morning and sit with you all day long, you got to have 25 sets of rules as to what you're gonna do if you cancel last minute so you don't get payment. So you only need 2 stylists. So I'm gonna put that out there. If there's a stylist that wants to cater to the professional woman, I know a lot of people who would love to talk to you, because you wouldn't start working till 6 p.m. 5 o'clock.
They're still out there, because my hairdresser works. I mean, but of course she's not 22 as well. So
my hairdresser has a mix, but she will cater to the profession. Like, she will start her first appointment at 6 a.m. I can get down with that, because I can still go get my hair done and be ready to roll 7:30, 8 o'clock. But this whole, I'm doing hair from 9:30 till 3 o'clock when I gotta go pick up my kid, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Like, who can meet these hours? We off task, but you brought up hairdressers, and I'm
when you start working from home and you don't have to go into the office every day, then you'll be able to go and you'll go drop off your child and you'll go get your hair done at 9. And you'll stay up.
No, you
that's
won't.
no,
No,
you
you won't. Because I
No.
still have to bill hours.
Correct.
And if my job calls me, one time I was getting my hair done and I had a hearing, an emergency hearing. I couldn't even turn on my camera because I was getting my hair done.
Oh my goodness.
Correct.
Okay.
Like,
So
no,
I'm
you can't
at
just
home.
leave.
Right. I'm at home tomorrow. And my deposition started at 9 a.m. and go until after 5 o'clock. I have 5. So no, just because I'm at home does not mean that I don't have to get dressed. I can turn the camera off. None of that. Like
That's good to
I understand
have to take
it exists. I understand it exists somewhere, but no, there's a lot of us that still have to have our cameras on. We still actually are working at home. I'm not at the gym for 3 hours. Like it's none of that.
No, this
none
is
of
good.
that.
It's good to hear.
None of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I wonder who are these women that can meet these times. It's not me.
Well, yeah. Yeah, some people are flexible. There's nurses, they have a few days off during the week. There's people who have shift and very flexible work schedules. So not you ladies.
So I'm
but there are some
gonna
people-
chime in real quick. I am one of those ladies. So I'm still working from home and we're going on 2 years. And I do have my hair appointments at times at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, but I also have my laptop with me if I'm getting color, I'm working. I'm not in court or doing depositions as most of them, but I am one of those people. I am also one of those people that I get up at I start work from 7 to 3. So I get up and go to the gym about 6:30. I'm home, take a shower and I'm ready to work. But I'm not the norm.
But also, Brandy, show us your hair.
Correct.
But when
You
I
out by
But
9:45.
she changes her
yeah,
hair.
I'm gonna
So
say,
it's
but when I
always
do
gone,
have
right?
hair, but also I work remotely, still working remotely, but I always take my laptop with me. So because I'm personally tired of working from home because we've been doing it for 2 years and almost 2 years and they have no clue when we're going back. And for me, I need to change the scenery, but I take my laptop with me when I'm working. Now,
So
when I do have hearings and stuff like that, no, I'm sitting right here, camera on,
Right.
Yeah.
or I go to the office and do it and I can go. But yeah, I'm one of those, my law firm is a little bit more flexible.
I think the answer to what you guys are saying is what some people are kind of moving toward, which is a hybrid schedule, allowing people to be flexible on a few days a week or a few days a month or what have you, or a week on, a week off. I mean, everyone kind of has their own thing, but flexibility is really, the key word here for sure. Now, I was just at Discount Tire with my laptop last week. I needed new tires. I made an appointment and I worked from Discount Tire until they finished me. But
I
because you
can't
never
do
know.
that. I can't. I have to focus because I get easily distracted. So I can't.
Yeah,
I can
everybody-
make calls
Mhm.
and stuff like that, but I cannot have my laptop. I have to have a desk. I don't know.
See,
Well, they had a desk there that I sat.
Oh,
at.
okay.
There was a bar, like a tall area where,
Yeah.
like a little workspace, but I don't know if that's what they have it for, but that's what I used it for.
But
Yeah.
also at the same time, I may say that there's a lot of people at my firm that are leaving because, they know eventually we're going back into the office. So they don't, unless they can produce or, confirm that we're going to work from home permanently, which they can't, then a lot of people are starting to leave to go to permanent remote jobs. Because I have people that, there's folks that have left and went for insurance firms or, insurance companies, because I know I heard Allstate, they're working remotely permanently. So people have left for those. There's some other law firms here in Houston that are working remotely because let's say my firm, people have left because they have told them that they're working remotely permanently. And we've had a lot of the older attorneys that have retired because, technology is just not their thing. And for them, this doesn't work for them. So we're hiring because a lot of the older ones.
Everyone's hiring.
I think it should be a hybrid though. I think they should let people choose.
Yeah.
I think I do agree that you should have schedules. Like I don't like working from home all the time. I do like going into office, and with my new firm, I do go into the office every day. But I like having the option of, if I don't want to come in today and I want to work from home, hey, I'm working from home today. And it not be a whole drama scene. Like I like having the option there. But I do understand burnout. Like people were talking about Zoom burnout and all that stuff. So I do recognize that everybody, some people like going in and having coworkers and chit-chatting and chiming and having secret Santas and all that. I do get that. Because that was another thing with my old boss. She really enjoyed community. So she enjoyed having people in the office, having people around. But I think, again, that's generational, like having that, like the people you work with are your family. Not saying I love the people that I work with, but it's just like, I think millennials, we take a more hit it and quit it approach. Like, hey guys, I'm here do a job, okay, going, I'm out, gonna hang out with my friends, bye.
It's all good. Like you said, it's all about flexibility.
So let's transition into the legal standpoint of all of this, because Texas, and now we know Utah, is an at-will state. So I guess Taria, because you're more the contract base in regards to this, people leaving and at will. Like, what are your thoughts and take?
Oh, well, I was looking at it from, I don't know, the articles I was reading, they, I guess, compared the job market to the housing market, where the housing market is a seller's market. If you want a house, you're going to pay over the asking price. You're going to fight 25,000 people for it. As far as the job market is concerned, it's an employee's market. Now, some employers don't realize that yet, so they're getting a rude awakening. But because it is an employee's market, I think it's good for people to know that at will, we talk about at will all the time, but most of the time we're talking about at will from the employer standpoint of, well, they can fire you no matter what. So be careful, walk on eggshells. Well, in an employee market, you can leave no matter what. So do what's best for you. I mean, of course, Shay is going to say within reason. I always say I wouldn't leave a job without having another job, but that's just how I was raised. But it is an at-will state, and which just means that unless you're sitting underneath the contract, you are able to leave your job no matter for whatever reason. Just like your job can fire you. Of course, if there's discrimination, right? There's some issues there. But for the most part, the job can let you go for no matter what, unless there's some contract that's in place. It's the same way for the employees. And I think in a market like this, if you are looking for something that's better for you, whether it's I want to go back into the world or the office and work, or I want to go remote, or I'm looking for a work-life balance, do what's best for you. But know that you can leave because it is at will, and at will does go both ways.
And you know what? I saw where somebody, when they quit their job, they bought a sympathy card that said, sorry for your loss, and gave it to their job.
But I mean, it makes sense now because people are leaving and it's not necessarily about the money. We used to always harp on, we used to always be like, and Taria, you're right, we were raised, don't leave this job until you get another job. But now I don't have to get another job. I can go open up my cigar line or whatever, like I can leave my job and go be entrepreneur and live my best life. So
now Brandy opening up a cigar lounge, just FYI.
That actually,
I know, because like she don't just throw stuff out there like this. So y'all
but I actually got a friend who actually got laid off from his job during COVID, and he makes his own cigars. So COVID helped, like that's what helped him launch his business. And that's what COVID did for a lot of these entrepreneurs. Now they were laid off during the pandemic. They had time, and talking to him, he was like, he would never go back and work for anybody. He's doing very well. So
yeah, I think that what we realized with COVID, with employers, because see, y'all remember during the very early stages, people didn't know if they had jobs, right? And it was some employers who, before PPP came around, was just cutting people off. Like I know one law firm who fired their entire staff like a month into COVID because they did not know if they were going to be able to cover salaries. And then PPP happened, and then all the employees like, come back, because I need that loan forgiveness, and I got to have enough employees to cover the loan forgiveness, and if I fire you, then I don't get it, because you have to maintain so many employees and pay their salaries and stuff. And so I think that a switch went off, and employees start looking like, first of all, hold on, wait a minute. You want me to come in this office and put my life on the line for something I can do at home? No, right? But then they can't fire you because they didn't got the PPP. So it was kind of like, I think employees had an aha moment where it's like, I'm the captain now. And it started making all these eureka moments and demands, and started to realize that, like, hey, I can actually get more vacation than a week on what you're trying to give me on paid vacation. I can do my job, and you just gonna have to trust me.
Yeah, people have options, period.
It's like
That's
dating.
simple.
Well, for me, some people don't like to date around. I love, like, when I was dating, I'm married now, but when I was dating,
Fix it.
when I was dating, I loved to, like, have multiple fires, irons in the fire at the same time. May the best suitor win. It was like Bridgerton for me.
I love it. And the Kirk singing as well, right?
Yeah, the lady.
So then, Shay, my question, well, this is a legal question. Am I on mute? Okay. This is a question for a legal standpoint, and it's also a question in regards to like the HR side. Can employers force them to come back to work? Like what Sam was saying, they fired everybody. Now they got this PPP, but we are in at-will state, and now employees are taking their power back. Do I have to go back?
If the requirement is for you to go back, you do have to go back, but you don't have to work for them either. So I think that's the expectation. Every employer that I've ever worked with has a cost for each hire. And that's very important. It's very expensive to hire new people. So I would find that employers are trying to be flexible with the vaccine. They're trying to be flexible with returning to work. They're trying to be as flexible as they can so they can have as many people to return to the office as possible. So, but that flexibility, it causes issue with those employees. So the people that are pro-vaccination don't want to work with people who aren't pro-vaccination. So they might not go back, and vice versa. So we go back to the hybrid, right? Or we go back to the work from home. They have to find a way. So to answer your question, no, you don't have to return. But they also, because there's laws, and then there's company policy.
Right. And I'm more
they can implement. Right. So it is at will. But if you are there's a caveat to that. So a little asterisk. If you are a federal contractor, or you're a federal government agency or a state agency, you do have to follow those federal laws and rules, and you can have adverse and EEO issues and that sort of thing. Not everyone's concerned about that, but those large organizations or those organizations that have to.
Did she freeze?
Days about employees' rights and that sort of thing, and people are winning for all on various reasons, even in states like Texas, because their civil rights are being violated in various ways if they're not respectful of their religion or their medical history, or there's various things. So basically, even though employers might have their company policies to have people return, they're trying to be as flexible. What I find the trend is trying to be as flexible as possible. But you do not have to return, and you also don't have to work there. But everyone knows that now, because that's pretty much everyone's trend. It's like, you know what? If that's your rule, I'm not going to go back. So
well, I have a question. Can they force you to get the vaccine?
No, but in the medical field, they can, I believe. Because I think that's a part of Biden's federal rule, right? So if you work for the federal government, so like if you work at the vet's hospital, they can say it's required because that's the federal rule.
And if you're a private company, right? If you're a private company, I can say either get the vaccine or you leave.
Yes.
Because we're at will.
Because that's a company policy. Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. There's company policy for sure. Yeah. But again, if you're like, the other piece to that is, I'm sorry, Sam. The other piece to that is the healthcare piece. So the healthcare piece is really forcing people to get the vaccine as well, right? So it's companies telling you have to have the vaccine. And it's also your insurance is saying your premiums are going to be higher because the getting COVID causes all of these other issues. And if you get anything that's on that list, we're not paying for that, or we're going to pay 10%, 20%. So there's new mandates from the healthcare or the insurance companies saying that they want, and all of that is being sponsored. And what's the term? Anyway, corporations subsidized by your employer. So all of those things work hand in hand. That's forcing people to return to work if you care about your role that much, and that's creating your livelihood and that sort of thing. Then yes, those full-time people are the ones that are most likely to return. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
What I don't understand though is the people who, why is this like a big announcement? Like you said, it's a company policy for most. If you choose to quit your job because you didn't want to follow the policy, that's your decision.
That's right.
But people are like, I'm quitting because I don't want to get the vaccine and I can't pay my mortgage. Then why are you quitting?
So then let's segue into that. Then that is a good question. So what if I can't? So what if I have to go back to work due to company policy and I can't quit, but I also want to do a career change? Like, how do I transition out? Like, how do I convince myself or transition out to be like, either I'm burnt out of work, so I'm tired of working from home, or my company has making me go back due to company policy and I can't find anything else, like, how do we transition out of getting from where I am, that I've been here forever, to now then it's an employee's market?
Well, most people who, first of all, it's all about planning. So you don't want to just quit, right? And the people that are transitioning are trying to find their space. But from a recruiting standpoint, my advice would be to reach out, use LinkedIn, especially if you have a professional role, because there's so many roles that are available. People are having to be flexible about the experience and the requirements of roles. So if you feel like there's a space you want to be into and you wouldn't have ever gotten an opportunity to do so, now is the time. Because people just be creative. Like, hey, I've been an attorney and I want to go do this other thing. I can use my legal degree or my graduate school earnings. You can use any sorts of things to try to find ways to make yourself appealing for your new transition. But I would definitely say find a headhunter to help you find that particular new role or that new industry or that new whatever you want to start. But it's very likely to happen in this environment than any other environment. I hope I answered your question.
Oh, and I would say I was reading something when it comes to applying and looking for a new job or transitioning. The other thing to be cautious about is when it comes to the COVID vaccine, another way companies are mandating without mandating is that it's a requirement when you change jobs. So when you're applying for the job, it's saying in there, you know how like there'll be like the applications that say, well, equal opportunists, you know, you can tell us about your diversity or whatever, like, you know, list who you are. There's another section that talks about we require you to either be vaccinated and show your vaccination card, or be in the process of obtaining your vaccine before you start this job. And supposedly it's on remote and in person. And this is not every company, but that's how companies are finagling their way through when it comes to new hires.
I've never heard of that one. I never heard of that one. I never heard of
pulled some of those articles.
But I could.
I should have pulled some of those articles.
I could definitely see that though.
But I would say that might be face-to-face type roles, right? Where you are interacting with the public, or in some type of healthcare role.
I'm very interested to see from the legal market how employment lawyers are going to handle these slew of lawsuits that's coming down the pipeline as this vaccine becomes more popular. But I know that's to be announced, because one will eventually make it to the Supreme Court, and that will be precedent. And then I think it'll be interesting, especially in Texas.
Very, very.
Y'all have anything else?
I do not. I don't think.
Because I feel like we talked about everything all in general. Like, we did.
We talked about. Yeah, I mean, I can't really stress it enough. Like, this is such a good season for anyone to make whatever transition you're trying to do. Whatever you thought, or whatever dream job you thought you could not get, I would definitely say right now, aim high, contact someone you don't know, be bold, be brave, send them your resume, talk about all your accomplishments, pat yourself on the back, and just be bold. This is now a good chance to get the role that you felt like you always wanted and you could totally do. But I would also say you got to deliver, right? You can't just take the role and, once you get it, you got to, shoot for the stars and just, really work it through. But at the end of the day, it's a good time to transition for sure.
Especially for lawyers.
So I have two follow-up questions. I have two follow-up questions. One, this is a good time to change. Can you still ask for more money? And then two, is it better to have and this is for the professional side as well, a curriculum vitae or a resume?
Are you asking me which term to use?
Well, actually, one, since this is an employees market, is it fair to ask for more money? Because these companies are still going through COVID. So if you're used to making, say, 80, 90, 100 grand, you want to do a transition, could you still ask for that or more money? Because the question is the money, in your opinion, is the money there? And then my question is it better to give a resume or a curriculum vitae, or does it matter?
Okay, so for your first point, I think that when you are, first of all, it's always in your right to ask for what you want or where you feel like your worth is, right? So I wouldn't say post, pre, during pandemic, whatever your value is on the market, that's what you should be asking for. So with that said, that means you need to be very knowledgeable about what the role would pay, right? So, but if you're coming with no experience in this space, what kind of leverage are you going to bring? What are you adding? You have to really be able to sell what value you're adding when you're entering this new space. What are you bringing with you? right? That's going to make you so successful that we need to aim for that dollar amount. But you can always ask. I think a lot of people are resistant on asking when you should always ask. The worst thing they can say is no. If they offered you the position, they still want you. And negotiating doesn't mean that that you'll lose your offer. They're going to retract the offer. But how you respond to it could possibly, right? Because that kind of shows like who you are and showing your true colors. But I would definitely say you can always negotiate for sure.
What about negotiating for some of those other things? Like I remember early in the show, you talked about money is like top 5, no longer top 3. What are some of the other things that you may want to consider if you're not big on money, but maybe some of the other things that you want to negotiate for?
Yeah, good question, Sam, because basically that's what people are doing. Quality of life is changing for everyone because of the pandemic. So spending time with your kids and having flexible work schedule is number 1, right? And most people's list. It is not number 1 for, I would say, empty nesters or, I would say empty nesters mostly, right? Even single, unmarried, they still want a very flexible work schedule. People want benefits. People want healthcare. Healthcare is expensive. So people want the benefits. They want to be able to go to the doctor without having any issues. They want an EAP plan, right? That mental health is a thing, right? So that's also a part. But those sorts of things are not necessarily, healthcare is not something you can negotiate, right? They either have a healthcare plan that is for you or not. The other thing is, I think the PTO, like I know we talked about flexible work schedule, but PTO sometimes is one of those, a lot of people feel like it's and it's firm, like, oh, we only giving 2 weeks. I would say, ask for a little bit more. The more flexible work schedule you see, the more fixed they are about the vacation. Okay. So you really kind of have to weigh your options really well. Do you want more vacation time, or do you want your everyday life to be looking great? The other thing you see is, what else would people want? I think PTO, flexible. I think also, you talked about community, like people want affinity groups. They want to feel belonging. They want diversity and inclusion in all sorts of ways. You see same-sex couples, that sort of thing. People want to be in an environment where they're not like the other. So I know that's not necessarily something that you can negotiate, but just telling you some of the areas that are really important. And I just thought of something, but they just left my brain. But I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna go to Brandy's other question. I'm gonna tell you what I was just thinking that just left me. So the other thing is CV or resume. Well, from a recruiting standpoint, they're the same thing. It's whatever you want to call it. No one's gonna be offended if you call your resume or you call it a curriculum vitae. It doesn't really matter. But everyone feels like the CV is, I would say, fancy, but no one really cares, to be honest with you. No recruiter is really going to care what you call it. No one cares about what format it's in, or if it's on stock paper, or if your address is on it, or nobody cares about that. People want quality information. They want less pages. People don't like reading resumes. Hiring managers don't have time to sit down and study your resume. They like resumes that are concise, to the point, and make it really obvious what you have delivered in the past, what accomplishments that you've been able to make. They like data, numbers, any type of, stats that you can include to kind of give them a general idea of what your performance is like. Those are the things that are mostly are important for a resume. But as far as what you call it, what you label it, no one cares. So, back to Sam, professional development. People want that. That's in the top 5. People want to go get a graduate degree or be able to take some classes or be able to be better at their role without spending all of their own personal money to develop themselves. They want to be developed in-house, and most people want stability. But unfortunately, a lot of us have to leave our organization to get mobility within our careers instead of staying in-house with the organization. But if they're smart, then they develop within, they spend all this money on you, and they should be able to promote you from within. But I definitely feel like you have to sometimes spread your wings to be recognized and to be validated. So professional development and continuing education is high on the list as well, Sam.
Well, thank you very much for that information. And we are at the end of the show. And so during this part, and of course, you are well familiar with this is Rest My Case. So the Rest My Case, I'm gonna let Sam go first to see what her Rest My Case is.
Okay, I have 2 of them actually. My first one is, y'all, Brandy has been outside. And y'all know I moved and I'm jealous. I don't like seeing Brandy. She didn't rode motorcycles. She didn't took pictures with the Ready of Love cast, Ready to Love. Brandy's been outside, y'all, and I don't like it. So my Rest My Case is Brandy needs to go back inside. My second Rest My Case is, okay, Insecure people. It's a show, okay? Molly and Tiffany have been AKAs since season 1. It is now the final season, and now the AKAs want to be upset. Why? Why? And what are you upset about?
Well, they're being sued. They're suing them right now. I just saw today that they're suing them. There's a lawsuit in the works.
Good luck. I would love to see how the lawsuit turns out. In the 5th and final season, you want to come forth when Molly's had an AKA mug on her desk since the season premiere. Now, see, as a Delta, we don't have them props, but we read the fine print. So I'm gonna keep y'all in my thoughts and prayers, but y'all need to let this one go. No AKAs were harmed in the filming of Insecure. Y'all need to lay that to rest.
I am surprised that they didn't see it as flattery. I really am.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you're actually on the show. And I think, like, coming from someone who's Greek, if I had someone who wasn't, like she graduated from Stanford, she, has these accolades, she's a working professional woman, she has 3 other Black female professional friends. What's the problem? I could see if she was on what's the other show with the strippers? I could see if she was on that show.
Oh, All the Queen's Men?
No, not All the Queen's Men. The other one that comes on
P
Valley. Yeah, I could see if she was on P Valley. Like,
well, I know they take this, not they, not just, make it sound like it's them versus us, but, I know that a lot of times it's taken very seriously, like the letters and what it takes and that sort of thing. But I really was surprised that it was, especially a show like Insecure that's so beloved. I was shocked that, that they responded the way they did. So
it's going to be settled. It ain't. But Taria, what's your Rest My Case?
It shouldn't be settled, though. As a litigation attorney, I'm very disappointed in them. And I need people to get real jobs. And these better be plaintiffs who are sitting in college. Because if you're a grown woman who's been out of school for 10, 20, 30 years, and all you got are the letters across your chest, sis, there's other stuff going on. Okay. Rest my case. COVID is still real, people. Be safe out there in those. Let me finish. Be safe out there in those streets. can I give you my testimony? Earlier this week, on Saturday, I had to get a test because someone in my area caught the COVID and has every single symptom and got the shots. And so I say all that in all the symptoms. I say all that to say that it is very real. And this person's sitting on breathing treatments and all of this stuff. It's beautiful outside. Enjoy it. It's the holidays. But be safe. Be safe.
And
I'm tired of having, and wear your mask. I'm tired of having that stick up my nose. I'm pretty sure brain cells are leaving me every time they go up in there. And so I just really need y'all just to be careful out here in these streets.
And Shay, you rest my case.
Oh, I tested negative, by the way. I know.
I figured that.
We're not
Like,
bothered.
people
We're
be
not
treating
sitting
that
next
COVID
to you.
People be treating that COVID test like an STD test. I'm negative.
You just gotta let them know. Let the person know. I can breathe. I can smell.
I'm clean. I'm clean.
Right, like a drug test. Thank you. Thank you, God.
My rest of my case is if you have a supposed job search and you're a professional and you don't have a LinkedIn account, then you don't have a search.
That's a good one because
That
I
is
have a
good.
LinkedIn, but I don't know how to use it. So I just
Yeah,
updated.
that means you're not looking for a job.
I'm not, but I don't know how to use it. It's so much.
We can do a little preview for you, but
I
it's very
don't get it. I don't get like the adding to people. I don't get people telling me happy work anniversary. I don't really understand LinkedIn, y'all.
That's for recruiters. Those are looking for you. I mean, I see people use it, but I don't use my LinkedIn. But I'm not looking for a job either. So
I need to update my LinkedIn with my new company, but
because a lot of folks didn't know you was in Utah till you made your post 2 days ago.
yeah.
So can I ask you a question, Sam? Did you keep your same role when you moved to Utah?
Yeah, so I'm still an associate attorney in family law. I just went to a larger firm. So like I was at a boutique firm with like 3 other lawyers. Now we have like 20 lawyers and like 10 of counsels. So a larger firm that handles business law and criminal law and family law.
And how did you hear about this opportunity?
Literally, I just went on, is it Indeed or ZipRecruiter? One of the two. And I just applied.
Okay.
I don't know. I think one thing I will say, and that's what I was saying earlier, is that the legal market, law school enrollment is down. There is a need for lawyers. So I think that people looking for lawyers.
Yeah,
but if you saw it on a major platform, a job board like a Indeed or, ZipRecruiter, then that same role was on LinkedIn as well. The only difference between those platforms and LinkedIn, and I'm not a sponsor, they don't pay me. LinkedIn allows you the opportunity to have the profile that you should go and update, and then people will look for you, and you don't have to actually look. That's really
that's great.
That's really the whole premise of it is instead of you searching, they look for you, and then you put in all your information, and there's AI that's behind it that works to kind of navigate and send them people that fits the role that they're looking for.
That's great, because I got some LinkedIn messages and I thought they were scammers. I thought it was in people trying to sell you Bitcoin. I was like,
well, thank you again.
I saw your profile. I don't know about that one.
Well, thank you again, Shay, for this wonderful conversation on the transition and navigating through the career change during pandemic. Really appreciate it. I don't really have rest my case. The rest of my case is, Sam, we need to catch up one of these weekends you in town. So
but we know you're gonna be outside.
And we'll have company soon. So Now I lost my train of thought dealing with
It's all good. I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I appreciate you inviting me again. I'll come anytime, and I appreciate hanging out with you ladies.
And Shay,
Oh,
let
we
everybody
love
know where they
having
can follow you.
You can follow me on IG, on LinkedIn. I'm on all platforms. I'm streaming. My podcast streams on all platforms, even though you can visually see me on YouTube. But I'm also streaming on all platforms. I'm on Apple, iHeart, all those areas if you want to listen to the podcast. But if you need any type of recruiting advice or transitional advice, just send me a LinkedIn request or just send me a message.
So first we gotta learn how to work LinkedIn.
That's
the
right.
next step.
Well, it's a tool like everything else, and it's very easy. It's very user friendly, so you're not going to have any issues. You went to law school, so I think you got this.
I just did
Got this.
LinkedIn. You just gonna have something on the side. Like you
Taria, where can they follow you? Are we following you to a deposition? We following the court? We follow you on IG?
You can't follow me to deposition or closed, but you can follow me on Instagram, Simply Being T. You can follow me tomorrow because it's the polls and it's voters. There's some votes that need to be done. You know, don't wait just to the presidential election, guys. There's some other stuff that we need to talk about. And you can even follow me to Thanksgiving dinner because Shay gave you a laundry list of things she is, but you know what else she didn't talk about? How we're first cousins. So follow me to Thanksgiving and you can meet Shay in person and she can tell you about your CV, resume, LinkedIn.
Is she your
Beyonce's
spades
daddy.
partner, Taria? She your spades partner?
Shay can't play spades.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Listen.
I've never. When have you played?
No. Please call around. I play spades very well. I just don't anymore.
Like I said, I don't got time for you to. You don't know if she's gonna come out of retirement, whatever. She don't play. No, my spades partner is Kiki. And so
Shout out to
that's who
Kiki.
we're Kiki.
Our
Yes.
cousin.
As long as you don't be underbid, because if we flip over tables in my family, if you continuously underbid, or if you don't call jokers,
Don't get Brandy started on this underbidding.
Lord. And if you think a low joker is not a book, but that's a whole nother story. So,
What happened? What has
No,
happened?
speaking from personal
right,
experience.
it's personal.
Don't even bring it up.
Sam, where are we following you?
You're gonna follow me to Michael's to get these Christmas decor decorations because y'all, it's
It
Christmas.
looks like
season.
Christmas, and you in Utah, so you get your first snow tomorrow. Let us know how it
But
goes.
why don't you go to Hobby Lobby? Y'all don't have Hobby Lobby there?
I don't like Hobby Lobby because Hobby Lobby don't give you the 20% off coupon.
They don't
Because
do
it's
that
50%
anymore.
off. Because it's 50% off.
But they went up on their prices though.
Michael's need to be 50% off with their prices.
I also go to At Home. I went to At Home last month and got some. And then I need to go to Home Depot.
I actually would like going to Target for my Christmas decor. I like Target.
So we're following you to Michael's and Target to get your Christmas decorations because Mariah Carey
That's
is saying
right.
her song.
That's right, guys.
All I want for Christmas
Y'all gonna
is
follow
you.
me. I'm gonna follow me to Brandy's house to see how many mistletoe she's putting up this year.
Anyway, you can follow me at
That's a whole nother show.
or the Old Fashioned Barrister. Also, you can follow No Further Questions on Facebook, No Further Q on Instagram, and NFQ Pod on Twitter. So thank you for tuning in for another episode of No Further Questions, and we'll see you next time. Good night.